Hello everyone and welcome to another Bubble Talk. Today is the 31st edition of Bubble Talk. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Hope you guys are having an amazing week. Today we're going to talk about something we really should discuss and something that is very important in our lives, and is how humor and laughter can reduce stress. But before we go into this today's Bubble Talk, a couple of shout outs I want to make. Those of you who came early into the platforms of YouTube and Facebook, shout outs to Axel, Ichigo, Yanlan, Kat, Yongjin, and Mirasol for joining us early and just chatting up a storm in the rooms. Let's take a look at the winners from the previous week for the bubble teas. Here we got Malaysia and Indonesia. Good job, everyone. It looks like it's good bubble tea. Yay! All right. Just want to, guys, we're going to give out another 2, maybe 3 bubble teas today. We'll see what happens, but we're going to give out some more bubble tea, so I hope you guys get yourselves ready. We'll do it during the question and answer time, and we'll pick a number, and whoever answers it, going by the number of order, whoever answers it at that number will get the bubble tea for this week. Now, if you guys have any questions, like I said, as always, you can write your questions down any single time that you want, right? In the middle of a talk, even right now, at any part of the talk, you guys can write down any question that you'd like. I hope that you guys will have questions that you really think about, or things that just pop up in your mind as you're listening to the talk, okay? So, what are you guys drinking today? Guys, this is something new, and this is something I haven't had in a long time. I love this, one of my favorite drinks. It is papaya milk. I got papaya milk, no sugar. This is so good, guys. Papaya milk, one of my favorite drinks. I'm really happy. I used to have like one of these like 2-3 times a week in the past, but the store closed down. I'm not sure why, but it closed down. So now I'm having Papa milk again. What are you guys drinking out there? I see some of you having Milo. Some of you also having nothing, right? But that's okay. You don't have to drink anything just because it's a bubble talk. Don't feel like you have to turn off the bubble talk because you're not drinking one. Awesome. So let's get into today's talk about how laughter and humor can reduce stress. And this is something that's really important for us. Why? Because all of us have tons of stress at any given moment of time in our lives, right? Everyone's experienced this. So if you think about it, life is stress, okay? So many times in our life is total stress all the time. And you know, I wish it was like this. Don't you kind of wish that stress was like an object or a product which you can kind of give and take with people? It's like, here, take my stress, right? And sometimes I'm sure you would want to take stress off your friends or family that are going through too much. You wish it was like a product or something, an object you could just take off them. But it's not. Right? Stress always comes when what happens is when we face situations that we don't know how to handle. Right? We almost wish that our body had some type of manual that told us, when in stress, do this, do this, do this. How do you control your emotions? Do this. There's no manual. So what happens is we're all learning at the same time. Some people learn it well and some people don't. And it's all, now that we're living in an age where we have YouTube, we're able to share and exchange information. Or it's something that we need to look up, like on platforms like YouTube, right? So this is what stress is like, okay? Your body doesn't have a manual, so we don't even know how to handle it sometimes. Like something is too much pressure. It's like, oh, you get so much stress. But the cool thing about stress is this. You can have the exact same stress happening to you multiple times in your life, and every single time, you're going to handle it better and better and better, right? So the first time you handle it, the first time you go through this stress, you're stressed, you're anxious, you're panicking, like, "Argh!" But then later on, when you've been through it enough times, what happens? If you've been through it enough times, then the stress isn't even as big, and it doesn't really bother you that much either. Right? This is something that we really have to understand and learn too is, yeah, in life too, you know, the one thing good about stress is if you train yourself well, right, or if you have the right hacks, you'll be able to handle it much better, right? Later on, you'll be much more calmer, and you'll have, you know, you'll be able to do something about it. Today, we're going to talk about how humor and laughter can help you with your stress. Now, first, let's just talk about some benefits of humor and laughter. I'm going to show you guys a cool video. And in this video, it's so funny because when you see laugh, like, you know, people have like these crazy types of laughter. You know what, when you watch this, you guys are going to, it's hilarious, right? This is a video of people watching other people laugh. Okay? Just listen to that and listen to, like, you know, when you laugh, sometimes there's funny types of laugh. Just listen to this. All right, let's go into the video. Tell me. What do you guys think, right? When you guys watch these people laugh, it's kind of hilarious, right? When you see these people, some of these people have like the craziest laughs, right? But this is what laughter is like. It's uncontrollable. You make these squeaks and sounds. Actually, if you guys watch the full video, later on, there are some other crazy people doing these laughs too, right? So what we have to understand right now is like laughter, there are so many benefits from it, because even for us, looking at someone else laughing, it makes us laugh. And when we laugh, there are so many benefits from it. Now, if you can get a good laugh in today, you know what one of the big benefits are? If you can get a good laugh in right now, or every day, it will relax all your muscles up to 45 minutes. Think about that, guys. All your muscles will be relaxed up to 45 minutes. That's number one. If you laugh and get a good laugh each and every day, you know what? Guys, if you laugh too much, where does it start to hurt? It starts to hurt your stomach. And I'm gonna tell you right now, guys, if you want your six-pack, if you want that six-pack, you gotta laugh every single day until it hurts, right? Yeah, you can actually tone up your muscles on the inside, and you guys will get a six-pack from laughing. All right, what else? Another great one is what? It talks about relationships, right? And, fighting depression, right? Fighting depression is a really big one. Why? Because when you have a good laugh, it releases chemicals into your brain, which is like dopamine and oxytocin, that really opens your mind and makes you feel like, wow, this is great, right? There's another, so it fights depression. Laughter fights depression. Another one is, if you laugh a lot, you will live longer than people who don't laugh as much. Right? And these are just a few things, but guys, when you're watching that video, it's hilarious. It's just joy when you see other people laughing like this. And of course, you'll have the crazy people that laugh, or you have people like, they snort and stuff like that too, right? So, guys, laughter, it feels good. It gives you joy. It's like when you go out to watch a funny movie, when you go out with cool friends or funny friends, it's just a good thing. Now, I'm going to talk about 3 major things about laughing that is going to help you to reduce your stress. Like, I'm not going to talk about, you guys don't get me wrong on this one. I'm not saying that if you have like this really bad problem, that if you laugh, the problem's gone. No. It's like you can have a problem, go watch a comedy, you come out, the problem's still there. Right? But these 3 advantages, these 3 things about people who laugh all the time will aid you and help you to overcome your problems easier. Like, really? Laughter can really do that? Sure. So let's go over the first one. The first one is, laughter allows you to deal with problems better. It does, okay? I'm going to show you a video. And I want you to take a look at this video. I'm going to show you how it helps you. Go ahead. Ice pool. Okay, guys, what do you guys think about that video? Now, here's the crazy thing. This is the crazy thing. The video was originally a serious video advertising his new rock band. But then what happens is he jumps into the pool and he basically cracks his tailbone. Now, what ensues is, first he's in pain, his friends are laughing, and what eventually happens to the guy who was hurt? He starts to laugh too, right? One of the things you have to understand is, even when it hurts, one of the things that laughter does is, laughter can mask pain. It can mask pain. When you laugh in these types of situations, the laughter takes over and you don't feel embarrassed, or you don't feel it's as bad as it really is. Let me show you a Bible verse, right? In Proverbs chapter 17, verse 22, is a very famous verse that we thought that, this is something that actually comes from the Bible. It says that a cheerful heart is good medicine, right? That laughter, having that cheerful heart is actually good medicine. Right? And that's why, guys, we've been through this before. You almost get hurt. It's not that bad. You're just more embarrassed and your pride is kind of broken. But when all your friends start laughing and then you start catching the laugh bug and you're like, oh gosh. And then even though it hurts, you're laughing and all of a sudden the pain isn't as big as it was before. Right? This is what comedians do. Comedians joke all the time about really crazy hard issues, right? Like, for instance, some people who are really, really short, they have a complex about it. But if you know a comedian, Kevin Hart, he talks about how short he is all the time. There's other comedians that talk about racism, other comedians that talk about all these really big topics, but they make it super funny so that people are able to deal with it. When you laugh a lot, right, it allows you to deal with problems better because it makes you feel it's not as big as it really is. It masks the pain. So it makes it easier for you to deal with the difficult situations, whether it's embarrassing, whether you're physically hurt, whether you're mentally hurt, whether there's any type of pain. Guys, if you laugh, when they say laugh it off, it is actually real. You can mask a lot of the pain through laughter. Right? Life is easier when you laugh, and you'll be able to get through those difficulties a lot better. Second thing I'll talk to you today is what? It is laughter makes you more resilient. Okay? Now, what does it mean to be resilient, right? To be more resilient means what? Let's go to the next one. More resilient. Not reliant, it's actually resilient. Right? So the word resilient means the ability to bounce back after difficult situations, right? The ability to bounce back. Now, what does that mean, to bounce back? It means that when you go through a difficult time, you fall over, and but the resilience allows you to get back up quicker, right? The more resilient you are, the more you can get back up after every time you fall over. Now, why can laughter make you more resilient? Why? Because laughter gives you the feeling that you can get through it, right? So after you go through something really difficult, but you laugh about it, you actually have a feeling that you can actually get through this better, right? So studies show that, after people laugh about a certain situation, they feel like, I can get over this, I can do this, right? It doesn't feel as painful, it doesn't feel that bad. And one of the big reasons why this is good is because if the situation is too big, right? If it's like, oh no, it's like the world collapsed and like this is happening and that is happening. No, right? Then if the situation is too big for you and you think it's too big for you, what's going to happen is you're not going to want to deal with it, right? When stress comes, it ignites the fight or flight in your brain. And if the problem is way too big, you're running away, right? You're going to run away. Right? You're going to run away from it. Why? Because you feel it's too big. But if you laugh, if laughter is a good part of your life, then like we talked about the very first one, it allows us to deal with problems better. And the more and more we deal with these problems, the more and more resilient we get. Right? And what does that mean? If we can deal with more problems because it feels easier to us, then we can overcome more problems. So what does laughter do? Laughter indirectly builds more resilience. It does. It actually indirectly builds more character. Why? Because you're constantly getting over these difficult times more and more and more. And the one thing that's kind of cool is they say that studies show that when you laugh a lot, it makes you less rigid. You know what I mean? Like, haven't you had those people that you talk to, they're very serious and rigid all the time? No, you must do it like this. And it's like everything is too serious, right? It's too rigid. You have to stay within the lines. But sometimes in a meeting, you need to laugh. right? Sometimes when it's too serious, man, it becomes too heavy and too much burden, right? And this is why you don't want to get too stuck up. You don't want to get too serious, but it allows you to be less rigid when you're someone who laughs a lot, and laughter is a big part of your life, right? So what's the second thing? The second point is it makes you more resilient. Now, third and final one. How great is laughter, guys? Laughter keeps healthy relationships. We're like, what? What do you mean it keeps healthy relationships? Let me tell you this cool stat. You are 30 times more likely to laugh when you're with people. Isn't that crazy? 30 times more. And think about this. All the times you laughed, it's like someone told you a joke, right? You laugh because you see a funny situation. You laugh because you saw, it's like you're always with people. Here's the funny thing. Wouldn't it be kind of weird if someone's just sitting there and then they just start laughing on their own, like, you'd be looking at them like, what the heck is going on with this person? It's really weird if you're just by yourself and you're sitting there looking and you're just laughing by yourself. That is kind of weird. Yeah, that's why you're 30 times more likely to laugh with other people, right? Let's look at Proverbs chapter 15, verse 15. I like this verse here. It says that all the days of the oppressed are wretched. Okay, but the cheerful heart has a continual feast, which means it goes longer and longer and longer when you have that cheerful, laughing heart. In a relationship too, studies show that in a relationship where when you're together, you laugh a lot together, then the relationship lasts longer. It tends to last longer, right? Why? Because as you laugh about things together, you're able to deal with things better. You'll realize it's not as big as we thought together. You'll deal with problems more easily. You'll build resilience in your relationship. One of the biggest problems, like think about this. There's something that I've never heard of until like this generation, Generation Z, and it's called ghosting. You guys ever, ghosting? Basically, from that point on, you ignore them. You don't text them, you don't listen to any of their texts. This is one of the biggest issues we have right now is people deal with problems how? By ghosting people. That's like the worst form of communication ever, right? It means that people can't deal with it. Oh, it's too hard for me to talk to this person about an issue. People need to learn, right? And if can you imagine if you've been in a relationship and then after like 2-3 months you just get ghosted by your girlfriend or something? Or your boyfriend, or your friend, good friend? It makes no sense. It really doesn't, right? It is bad communication, and it's a terrible way to deal with difficulties in a situation. Why? Because I guarantee you, no matter what, every situation, every relationship, every marriage, every friendship, every family will have difficult times no matter what. And you know what? Ghosting's not going to work every time. It's not. Yeah, it's one of the worst ways you can handle any situation is to just be quiet. Doesn't make any sense, right? Laugh a lot together. You'll learn to deal with things together. And when you deal with things more easily, right, everything doesn't become so serious. Everything doesn't feel so serious and burdensome. Every problem will feel not as big. And you'll be able to deal with them a lot better when you're together, okay? So, these 3 things, I hope that it really helps you out. I'm going to end off with a story just to tell you how laughter actually made my relationships a lot better, even when it was so embarrassing. So, what happened was back in elementary school, and this is like way back in like 1992, I believe. I know, it's a long time ago, right? So in elementary school, I moved over the summer to a new house. I'm going to a new school. First day of school, and it's snowing, okay? I wake up late. The good thing is we moved to a house that is literally a 2-minute walk. Well, if I go out the backyard, if I take 4 steps, I'm on the school property. I was so close to school. First day of school, got to make a good impression. So I'm like, oh my gosh, right? But the crazy part was none of my clothes were washed. I had no clothes. So I had these really cheesy and like these shorts that were like for like sleeping in. Like really ugly. It's snowing outside, and all I have is shorts. So I go to school wearing shorts and boots. I walk into the class, they're all looking at me, and they're starting to laugh at me like they're looking at what I'm wearing, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, first day of school, and I'm dressed like an idiot, and everyone's laughing at me. Even the teacher was like, it's snowing outside and you're wearing shorts, but you're wearing boots with your shorts, right? So I go to my seat and I'm already embarrassed, right? And it's my first day of school. And then what made it worse, I don't know what happened. I don't know what I ate. But all of a sudden in the middle of class, I just let out this loud fart, right? So it's just like, and I'm like, ugh. And everyone starts laughing, and people turned around and were looking at me. And I was like, oh, I was like, what do I do, right? So what I did was when everyone in the front rows were turning around looking at me, then I turned around too, and I looked at the person behind me, and everyone thought it was the person behind me that farted. And then what happened was, because everyone had a good laugh about it, right? Then we had something to talk about. And it was for me, it was a very interesting time because I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know what to say to them. But now they're like, oh, that was hilarious when you looked back. Oh, hey, how come you're wearing those clothes? I'm like, oh man, all my clothes are in the wash. Oh, what a terrible way to start my first day of school. And through that laughter, it broke the ice. It was embarrassing, but yet, because, everyone thought it was really, really funny, I wasn't as embarrassed as I was before, right? So, if anything else, guys, I want you guys to enjoy your life, laugh a lot, and make sure that, there are so many things to laugh about in life. And if there's nothing to laugh about, sometimes you just got to see the bright side of things. And that's why I do suggest go watch a lot of comedy. When you look at some of the comedy, it's really funny how they see the funny points in really serious subjects, okay? And when you see this, you'll understand, there are funny things in everything, okay? I hope you guys had a wonderful time today on today's Bubble Talk, learning how humor and laughter reduces stress. Not just saying to ha-ha, get rid of stress, but how it can lead you to solve your problems a lot more easier and better too. All right? Thank you so much for joining us today. Those of you who are here for the first time on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and click that like button on Facebook. And if you want to listen to all the other Bubble Talks, we have 30 more talks on our YouTube channel, Espresso with Sky. Go ahead, click that subscribe button, smash that notification bell, and you will be notified whenever we go live and whenever we have new videos that are uploaded. Those of you who want to support our ministry, go ahead and click that Patreon button. You can support us on Patreon. And Saturdays, every Saturday, 1 p.m., we have group Bible lessons. Just fill in the sign-up form, and we'll email you the Zoom link. It's going to be every Saturday. You guys are all welcome to join. All right. This means I'm going to take a sip, and we're going to have a time of question and answer. So go ahead, put your questions and answers in there. All right. Put your questions and answer in there, and then we'll start today's question and answer. All right, first question. Where's it coming from? First question from Singapore. Ooh, okay. How do I laugh more if I'm not that funny? Right? So you're living, it's true. Some people are not that funny, right? But the ability to laugh sometimes doesn't really have to be you being funny. Why? Because, usually there's like one jokester in your group or whatever it is, or there's a lot of things you can watch, comedies you can watch so you can laugh, right? Funny movies, funny people, stand-up comedy, right? Or, just kind of talking to people that that are quite funny too. You don't really have to be the funny one, but there's just having that laughter in the relationship is a very, very good thing. So yeah, if you're not funny, it's okay. It's okay. Not everyone's funny. But there's lots of you can go on YouTube. There's tons of funny videos out there too. But if I have to make a recommendation, it's good to watch it together with someone. It's much, much better and much healthier for you than to watch it on your own and just laugh by yourself, right? So I hope that this will help you out, Patrick, over there in Singapore. Let's go over to our next question over there, Stacy in KL. Stacy in KL, what is going on? Stacy in KL says, my relationship with my family isn't really that close. So how would I laugh with them more? What can I do to make this type of environment? All right, cool. So this is actually a two-part question, right? That we have to think about in two different ways. Number one is the relationship with the family isn't that close, right? And in most cases, I'm just saying, I'm not sure what your case is. In most cases, it's because families don't spend enough time together, right? Because that's how you get close. You get close to your friends, not by just staring at them and not by doing other stuff. You get close to your friends because you're hanging out with them a lot. One of the things that we do have to do is you have to spend more time with your family. It's a very, very important thing, right? So if you spend more time with your family, then you'll get closer to them. Now, if you want to create an environment where you laugh together, yes, it is, it's interesting, but then go watch funny movies together, right? Go, talk about funny stories, right? Find out, a lot of times because you're not close to your family, sometimes you don't even know who the funny one in the family is, but you gotta have fun times together. So if you're not a funny person, like Patrick was saying before, then it's good to, hey mom, dad, or whoever your family is, let's go out to watch a funny movie. Right, let's go watch a comedy together. Let's go do this. Oh, hey God, hey Dad, I saw this crazy movie, this funny comedy on Netflix. Let's watch this every Thursday or whatever it is, right? So you yourself don't need to be the funny one, but the good thing that we need to understand is, number one is to get the relationship closer with the family, you need to spend more time with each other. And another big problem with families is even when families spend time with each other, you'll see them at restaurants and everyone's on their phone. Right? So that's not spending time with each other. That's just physically being next to someone. It's like being on the subway. You could be next to the same person on the subway every single day, but it doesn't mean you get closer to them, right? If you all go to a restaurant together and you're all on your phones, it just means they're like someone on the subway just sitting next to you. You're not going to get closer to them, right? So you have to really spend that quality time to get that, to get closer in the relationship, right? And then after that, how do I make this type of funny environment? Well, it doesn't mean you have to be funny all the time, but every once in a while, yeah, go watch something funny. Go watch a stand-up comedian. Go watch a funny Netflix series, or watch a funny movie or something along that line, right? Or, research some funny jokes and try it on your parents to see what they think, okay? Thank you, Stacy, all the way over there in KL. All right, so is it time for the question? All right, let's go into today's Bubble Talk question of the day. Bubble Talk question of the day is, what is the real name of The Rock? As you see his picture right there with the smoldering look, what is his real name? Go ahead and write that down, right? What is The Rock's real name? You don't have to spell it right. The spelling is not as important, right? What is The Rock's real name? Go ahead and write that down, and the winner will get the bubble tea. Okay, so let's go back to, and let's go into the last question of the day. Last question of the day comes from Trina. Trina in, we don't know. Trina, I'm going to assume the Philippines, yeah, boot. Yeah, okay. So, Trina, how do you deal with people who keep telling offensive jokes, sexist, racist, rude, without being labeled as uptight or too serious? Where do we draw the line with humor? Okay. So Trina, everything actually depends on the relationship too, right? If it's a friend, you can just bring it up and say, hey, I think this is kind of rude. But you got to also look at the atmosphere of it. Like, because when you look at comedians too have all these crazy jokes out there, and they're really, they could be offensive. But comedians are just so good at it, right? That everyone laughs at it because it's so funny the way they see it, okay? Now, you have to look at the dynamics of the group too. For instance, what if you're the only one that's not laughing, but everyone else finds it funny, right? So you're kind of looking at what the situation in the group is. And if it's something offensive to you, but, another thing you have to look at also is, for instance, what is the intent? Like if it's a friend among friends and groups, and there's these crazy jokes that come out, if it does cross the line, of course you might want to bring it up and say, hey, oh, that one's a little bit bad, that one's a little bit too much. But you need to know the relationship and also the dynamic of the group, right? And once you have a better idea, because if the group is like that and they're always joking around and it's not offensive, they're not trying to offend people, but they're just trying to be funny, that's a little bit different than people who are just making these jokes, but they're super offensive, or they're not very good at telling the joke, so it sounds real almost, right? So you have to kind of look at a couple of things. What is your relationship with that person, right? And if it's in a group, because if it's just one-on-one, you and them, then you should be able to just tell them. It's like, ooh, I don't really like, oh, it's a little bit too much for me, right? The second one is if it's in a group setting, kind of got to get the feel of it, right? Because if what does everyone enjoy it, right? And maybe if that's the situation, maybe it's better not to be in that group situation, right? So it really is touch and go, dependent on each situation. Because I've heard some jokes that could be really offensive, but the comedian is just too good. It's hilarious. It's hilarious kind of thing, right? So sometimes people are just terrible joke tellers. Sometimes people are very offensive. And sometimes people are trying to be funny, but it doesn't work out. And this is when we kind of want to, case by case, situation by situation, we have to deal with it in that way, right? Yeah, it's not an easy situation. Like if there's some things that are just blatantly like crazy offensive, I would bring it up right away. I would, yeah, if it was if it really crossed the line, right? But if it doesn't cross the line, or if it's kind of on the edge of it, you gotta kind of play it depending on the situation and whatnot too. And it also depends on who's listening outside. What if we're in a restaurant saying those offensive jokes? That's not a good situation to do it either, right? So it really is depending on situation and circumstance also. Yeah, so that's something that you would have to figure out by looking at all the different parts of the situation, okay? Thank you, Trina, for that good. It's a really good question, but there's no like one answer that in every situation you must do it like this. Yeah, it really depends. Yeah, sometimes sometimes I think my jokes go a little bit towards the line too, sometimes. Yeah, I think so. Either way, let's go to the last question of the day. Last question is from Ichigo in Korea. And it says, when I'm watching entertaining things, I feel guilty. So, but it really depends. It depends what you're watching. Like that you'd feel guilty. Like I'm not sure why you feel guilty either. The best rule in life is work hard and play hard. If you have a good work, you work for 8 hours, it's not a bad thing. Like, you know, even for me, I watched a movie last week. It was terrible. It's one of the worst movies, not worst movies ever. And I watched Mulan, the Disney movie. Terrible, right? I watched that movie. It's terrible, but like I don't feel guilty. Like all the things I did in the day, in the week, I've done all the things I need to do, and I did it, right? When would I feel guilty? I would feel guilty depending on the content of the entertaining things. Like for instance, for myself, right? Like there's some things you're like, I'm not, this is crazy. I'm gonna watch something else, right? That's why I'll always look at, you know, what's the rating? Oh, it's rated R for suggestive scenes, nudity, this, and this, right? There's some things that I find it's a little bit extreme, but overall, not a big deal. Yeah, overall it's not a big deal, right? So even when I look at it, I look at, sometimes it's only in your head, but it's also sometimes people can handle different things when it comes to entertainment, right? Because I know some people, once they go into entertainment, they are sucked in for hours, right? They don't sleep till 3 a.m., right? I've done it before too, right? You're just sucked into it. And that's not a very good thing, yeah. But it's the question's a little bit vague in general, but it depends. Like when you're watching something, why do you feel guilty is my first question. Like, why do you feel guilty? And what are you watching that makes you feel guilty? Because if I watch a comedy, I don't feel guilty. If I watch an action with I watched a movie called John Wick 3, like last year. Oh no, this year, beginning of the year. There's like 180 or like 200 people that died in the movie. People getting shot in the head. I'm not feeling guilty about it. Right? Because I know it's a movie, right? So it really depends on the person too. It's all different from person to person. Okay. Thank you, Ichigo. I'll ask you some more questions later on. I'll DM you just to see what exactly it is that makes you feel guilty. But it's a good question too, because sometimes everyone has different levels of what they can handle, what they can't. Okay. So let's go in today's winner. Today's winner is it's this number, right? This one here. Today's winner is number 3. Whoever gave the third right answer will get today's bubble tea. Today's winners are Ari. It's the second time, I think. Ari, second time on Facebook, and Diane is also her second time, I believe, too. Good job. Congratulations, everyone, for winning it. Both Diane and Ari, congratulations on getting these bubble teas. You guys really deserve it because you answered it, even though you didn't know it was the third person, but you answered it right. All right, everyone, have a wonderful day. I hope we'll see each other on Saturday. And those of you who maybe next week on Tuesday or Thursday, have a wonderful weekend and laugh a lot, everyone. See you guys later. Bye-bye.